Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Good evening. I'm so thankful that you decided to take some of your non refundable time to spend with me and my VIP tonight. So I'm so glad you have stopped in. My VIP is pretty doggone dope, okay? And the way her and I connected, I think was super amazing. I think she's a one of a kind individual. And I know you'll be able to enjoy what she has to say. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest, okay? The guest I have tonight is passionate about mental health and has even had her own battles with mental illnesses, right? And she wants to help people. That's a wonderful thing for us to do, right? And she wants to help people, and she wants them to get the support that they need. She is very invested in her clients' healing and her faith. That's super. I'm gonna say fundamental and foundational to her. Okay, her faith is what drives and guides her practice, and it gives her the focus and compassion, kindness and justice, mercy, love, and you know what? I mean, even say she's like Planet Fitness because there is a no judgment zone when it comes to her. So I am going to bring to the forefront, and I'm gonna tell her to come on in here, Miss Samantha. How are you?
I am good. It's good to be on this program today. How are
Oh,
you doing?
I am thankful. I am super grateful to be able to be on top of the dirt, and the dirt's not on top of me.
I appreciate it for real.
Yeah. So tell me, what are you thankful for?
I am thankful that it's almost the end of the week and it's a short week. That's what I'm thankful for real.
Gotcha. Understood. But girl, this is supposed to be shown on Sunday. We ain't supposed to know that. It's almost like it's live. You're okay. I swear. You're good. You're good. I'm just messing with you. I promise you, for the record. I am just really picking at you. So I'm super grateful that you share what you're thankful for because I think us as individuals, there's so much for us to complain about, and there's so many things for us to be upset and perplexed, and just we can have feelings about, but there is not enough that we take moments to have these gratitude moments and things to be thankful for. So I always like to find out. We can tell you, "Hey, how you doing?" You can be like, "Girl, I'm good." Your toe is hurting. You know, you're in pain, you who knows what's going on with family and our work, but we're so conditioned to telling everybody we're good, and we don't never say what the realness is of how we're feeling. So since
Right.
sometimes we're not even like, I'm gonna say TV, even though we're online, like you never ever want anybody to see that you're down and sad, and I think that kind of sucks. You do have to have your safe people, but I think that we need to normalize being able to share how we actually feel, and you not criticize me and not make
Hmm.
me feel bad about whatever I'm going through. You went through stuff too. What do you
That's
think
so
about
true.
that?
I definitely relate to that because um, we're always hiding behind some kind of mask to say that, okay, I'm not going to tell this person because it's either a culture thing where you're saying, oh, it's I don't want that person to be all up in my business, or I don't want to constantly explain myself, or it's like you're just trying to hide what's going on because you don't want to explain yourself because there's certain expectation that you should be good all the time, and even if you're not good, just fake it till you make it, kind of thing.
I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And I mean, I get it, especially for certain people that are, your forefront people. You expect your boss to always be good. You expect CEOs to be good, pastors and certain people. You just expect them to be good all the time. But how would you handle somebody that's just telling you, "Hey, I'm not good today"?
I feel like the world will not be okay. Like I actually wrote a poem about that. It's okay not to be okay because if you keep on faking it all the time, it's just gonna be like who we're not gonna have persons to uplift us to smile. It's just gonna be like a fake smile. We don't know what a genuine no we won't have anybody to be genuine.
Mhm.
So when to when you ask I feel like it's good to just be truthful because you're not only being truthful to the other person, you're being truthful to yourself.
Mhm.
That's how I see it.
I listen. I think. Do you? Let me ask it this way. Let me not say what I think. Let me ask. Do you think this fake it till you make it mask that we always constantly have to wear? Do you think that aids in some of the reason why we have some mental struggles that we have, or some of the health issues that we have concerning mental health?
For sure, because we tend to suppress our emotions, and then uh, we are feeling that we're strong enough to make it through, but at the same time we're giving ourselves these negative talk, and eventually we start becoming a part of what we're saying to ourselves, which this is the negativity. So because of that, it burdens down. You have a lot of people going around saying that they have a lot of stress pain. They don't know what it's, well, they don't know that it's called stress pain, but they have a lot of pains. They're not knowing why, because the mind is literally exhausted, and the body, because the mind is connected to the body, either way, it's just gonna tell you eventually that it's time to check in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because so I definitely advocate for self care and saying stop stressing yourself out. Your body is begging you actually to
uh-huh,
give it a break and
uh-huh,
be able to not suppress your emotions, not give in to your negative thoughts, but be able to encourage yourself and pull yourself out of the dark, pretty
uh-huh.
much.
I like that. And I'm grateful that you started talking about stress, because that's actually how I connected with you because you put this video out. Well, where I saw it on Instagram. And you were sharing some techniques and some what stress looks like and what it is. Is that, can you share a little bit more about what stress is, what it looks like? How do we handle stress?
So stress comes in so many different forms. It comes like with the way we think, and it comes in the physical form. So stress is one's inability ability to not handle certain situations. So there's certain things that we can control, and there's certain things that we can't control. When it reaches to that limit where you're pushing yourself and you're just unable to control certain situations, where you're starting to pretend, or you feel like you're experiencing changes in your life. It affects your sleep, it can affect the way you communicate with others, it can affect the way you function on a daily on a day-to-day basis. So it comes in different forms for different people. There's good stress, and then there's bad stress. Like for example, you could be preparing for a graduation or a wedding. You're stressing over something good, but it becomes bad when it's totally um, take control of the way you, it affects your sleeping, it affects so many different things, to the point that you can't um, do things on your own. You need the assistance of others to make it through the day.
Okay. So how do we muster through some of the stresses that we may encounter? Like, give us one of a key stressor that, some, it could be something that we all experience. It could be something that maybe one of your clients, I know we don't share names, but maybe it's something that you could share with us of how you help somebody get through, what stress look like, how did they recognize it, and what is it something that we can do to help us get through it
For
outside of
sure.
calling you, because we know we need to have you.
For sure, I always say check in with yourself. So you should know your trigger, your warning signs. So what are your triggers? Is it something that maybe you're around persons that trigger you off, whether it be what
Bills
they
trigger
say?
me. So I'm telling you
Pardon?
now, I'm stressed out. Bills is what triggers me.
Oh yeah, I hate seeing those brown paper envelopes, whether it be brown in your country or white. It's brown for me. Seeing those bills, it's like, oh my gosh, what do you want? Can you just give me like a check instead of you asking me for money? Yeah, so that it could come in the form of that, something as small as just, well, not small, big, as
Right.
bills, or it could be just noise. It could be you're not a person who like noise,
Mhm.
and you could be around people who all they do is make noise, and that really affects the way you think and the way how you carry yourself. It could be stress, could be the just trying to keep that balance. You're dealing with changes. You probably starting something new in your life. Transitioning from one age group, say for example, you're transitioning from um, your 20s to your 30s, or certain just dealing with a big transitions, small transition too. So I say always acknowledge it, know what your triggers are, so know what it is that annoys you on a daily basis, what top tips you over the edge to say that um it's not okay, right? It has, you have to come to a point where you feel like it's okay, it's not okay, but you have to get to the point where you're saying it's okay not to be okay, and I need to check that out, right? So
Okay.
acknowledging what your triggers are and paying attention, observing yourself. If you feel like one day you're just totally off, where all of a sudden your temper is out of the norm and you're not a person who is angry, you should always check in with that. I always tell my clients, pay attention to halt. It means hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So, for
Good.
example, some people, they're going around and they're experiencing all of those. They're hungry, they're angry, they're lonely, and they're tired. Imagine if you're going through the day, through all of that, and you're not knowing, and somebody just say hi to you, and you're like, "Why are you saying hi to me?" Or they step on your toe, and you're like ready to cuss them off or something, right? And it's only because there's underlying things between why you're angry. You could be angry because something happened in the previous day, or something happened as soon as you woke up, right? You could be tired because you're a person who's always rushing and you're not eating properly. You could be hungry, hungry, angry. So halt. Eight, hungry, angry, lonely. Lonely comes in so many different forms. You could have people around you and you're still lonely. You can
True.
not have persons
That's
around
real.
you and you're lonely. And
Mhm.
then you're just tired. Tired could be in the form of you're literally tired because you've had an exhausting day. It could be low iron, or it could be so many different things that
I
contribute to.
just need some sleep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. Yeah, or
Hmm.
you could be just overthinking things. You're overthinker, and you just tend to overgeneralize things. So I always say pay attention to that,
Hmm.
and then that will help you to recognize what is going on in your body.
Gotcha. So, since you talked about stress and mental health, I know you've had some struggles of your own, battling with your own journey in regards to mental health, mental illness. What did that look like for you? What was your journey through mental illnesses?
It was a scary one because most of the times I didn't know what the symptoms were. For me, for the longest time I didn't know what taking a break looked like, and my body eventually took a toll where it like broke down, where I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. So I was feeling stress pain, so to the point where like your whole physical body shuts down.
That's what
So
stress pain is your
yes,
body shutting
so
down.
it could, yes, so it could be in the form of tightness of the neck, not being able to breathe properly. And some people, like, it goes from stress to anxiety to panic attack. So with it being so severe that you're unable to talk, like you're going back to baby stage where you're babbling and it's person can't make out what you're trying to say, and it becomes frustrating because
Is
all
that what
you,
you dealt with?
yes,
Really?
all your
Okay.
life you're able to talk, and all of a sudden you can't talk anymore, you can't communicate. Like for me, I had to actually use my phone to text person to communicate what I was going through. And for me, it just like it was I was supposed to graduate in April, and in March I just had a total meltdown where um all of a sudden I was experiencing symptoms like seizures, but it wasn't seizure. It's
Hmm.
just a mimic of seizures where your body is just frozen, where it starts shaking. But that's just another sign of panic attack. So a panic attack to its extreme. For me, as I said, I didn't know what taking a break looked like. a lot of persons talk about self-care, but for me, I'm like, I don't need self-care. I don't need a break. It was just, I'm just taught. It was for me, it's like I had this expectation for myself or expectation of others to say that you have to keep going. The work needs to get done, whether it be school work, whether it be church work. At the time, I was doing church. I was well involved in youth ministry. I was volunteering in the community. I was going doing my master's, and I was also working two
Girl, you
different.
busy. You were real busy.
Right. And I wasn't listening to my body at that time. I didn't even know, as I said, I didn't know what it meant to take a break because I saw my mom. She was always going, growing up, she was always going. So I felt that, okay, my mom is always going. And she doesn't seem exhausted. I can do it too, right? So not knowing that you can't, I'm not superwoman, but I'm expected to carry on the work. I am expected to pass my courses because I want to accomplish something. I don't want to get a failing grade. I want to be able to graduate on time. So, me not being able to graduate until I graduated in the same year, but I wasn't able to graduate until like months after because my whole life was put on a halt, right? So it's just me not knowing what balance look like, taking balance, work life balance, personal balance, church balance, and not knowing not understanding that you don't have to do it all. Other
Mhm.
persons you can delegate, right? And as women, as black women, it's like I feel like the pressure is on us a little bit more than others to I, I want to say being eye achievers, not only that, but being like living up to a certain standard, I want to say, right? So, yeah, the struggle can be real, but
Sure.
it was then that I realized that I can't do it on my own. And the same thing that I was studying to be, like to become a psychotherapist, I was experiencing different things that I'm studying. So, anxiety, panic attack, depression. So, I felt that I was more
Did what
prepared.
you read come onto you? Is that what you believe?
Pardon?
Do you think that what you were reading about as far as stress and panic attacks and all that, do you think that that became and kind of transferred to you?
Yeah, it really did. Like, at some point, I would like self-diagnose
Mhm.
before I went to the doctor, and then they told me what I'm experiencing. Because, as I said, I experienced so many different symptoms that I never knew what it was. And for me, going to a doctor wasn't a thing because it's like I'm never sick. So why am I going to a doctor? I don't need help. That's what I'm telling myself, right? Until I couldn't convince myself anymore. I had to accept the fact that hey, there's something wrong with you. Not just something wrong, but there's a shift that has gone that you have experienced, and it's okay that you've experienced that shift because your body is telling you that you need to slow down, right?
Okay.
And I had to learn that the hard way, and eventually I had to go to counseling, right?
Okay.
I myself wasn't a counselor yet, but I had to admit and to say all this stigma about going to therapy, I had it all because my first session, it was like, okay, she was, it's almost like pulling teeth. And then she's like, we're not gonna get anywhere if you're not gonna be vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
And it hit me. I'm like, I can't hide behind this mask anymore. If I want help, if you want help for yourself, you have to own up to it. You have to own up to what you're experiencing, and be able to seek help for yourself. It's not for others, but for yourself. So
Well,
do
that's good.
yourself a service.
Okay. So that's how you came out, was you went to counseling. And that's what was able to help you transition out of having your panic attacks and um
Yeah, because at some point I realized that this is real. I'm studying about it, but it didn't connect that okay until
when
I.
did you wake up from that? When
Pardon?
did that transition happen?
When did what transition happen?
When did the transition happen from you knew you were having panic attacks until I needed to wake up and snap out of this? When did that happen for you?
I think when I really realized that I couldn't help myself. Like when I realized that person had to help me, when I realized that I I'm not gonna be able to complete school,
Okay.
like at that time at least. Um, and when I realized that I was in a dark place where I constantly had negative thoughts, not to like kill myself, but like negative thoughts that I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, or why does this have to happen to me? I've spent my time volunteering, I've done this, I've been in the church, like all of this, right? And I'm like, there has to be something better from this. So when I started asking the questions, I started writing, and that's where I realized, you know what, might as well. There
Yeah.
has to be there has to be a reason why I'm going through all of this.
What's something positive that you would say to yourself, or that you could say to a woman that's listening now, that can combat those negative thoughts? When you get the I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not special, I'm not loved, nobody pays attention to me, I'm not smart enough. What's some positive things you said to yourself, or that you can say to us to help us combat that?
That's a good question. Like I like to have affirmations from the Bible and affirmations from when like my parents, they just like to like like spit out encouragement. So I love like um you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, so I like that one. And I like the one where it's the work that I started in you has not finished yet. That one I kept on repeating to myself. So if he said that he began a work in me, that means that I'm special enough for him to choose me to start to work on me and choose me to do something. So that was one of the reason why one of my final project for my masters, I pushed myself because I'm like, this is not for me. I was actually trying to develop a website for persons who have transitioned from one country to the next, immigrants, and how they can deal with mental health. And I'm like, okay, I want to send that message out, and how can you transition into a different countries. So I'm like, this my story is not for myself. So
Right.
that's what kind of like pushed me to go a little bit further, just telling myself that this is not for me. My struggle must be to encourage somebody else.
Gotcha.
So I say to just, I really like go on the scriptures and affirmations from what I sometimes I live on Instagram to just go on the positive aspect of it, at
Gotcha.
least to and the motivational speech, the videos and things like that.
Okay, good stuff. Now you did two plugs, and you may not even realize you did it. You probably did, nevertheless. So you told me that you did some poetry. Does that mean that you did a book? I know you did a book and you've written a book. Do
Yes.
is poetry in your book? Tell us about this book.
Yeah, so I wrote two books.
Uh-huh.
One with my husband. The first book is Our Life Journey, and that book has more poetry in it than my second book. So I find that that's a way for me to let my voice be heard. So I just write, and I my second book is say tell your negative thoughts not now. So I want to express that you don't have to entertain your negative thoughts. You can tell them come back later, or you can just tell them not at all, right? It's it's your job to entertain positivity, and you can do that. Most person feel that they can't, but negative thoughts is not a part of us. It was never meant to be a part of us. The more we entertain it, the more we get into different aspect of stress, anxiety, depression, and the whole works.
Okay, gotcha. What is something powerful that you would want to leave with one woman that's listening? Because my audience is primarily ladies. Guys, listen too, but I primarily work with women, and I try to help encourage them and motivate them to become a better individual. So I consider them to be my lovers and friends because I deal with matters at heart. So, what is something that is an encouraging word that you would like to leave with our lovers and friends tonight?
That you are important, you are valuable, and you are good enough because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I sometimes you have to find that out the hard way, but look it within yourself. There is no photocopy of you. You're placed on this earth for a reason, and you have to find that reason within yourself. Nobody's ever gonna tell you what that reason is. You just have to find it. Just like how you have to be intentional about self care, being intentional about caring for yourself, it's just as important for you to be intentional about accepting who you are and being okay with it. And I would just want to read one of my, it's not really a poem, but it's what I made mention about it, that it's okay not to be okay. So I actually wrote something about that, and I'm gonna read it. It's short, but it's just me expressing why we shouldn't wear the mask of hiding behind our okays. We should actually be honest with ourselves, and by being honest with ourselves, we are able to think positive, and our negative thoughts will be gone. Okay. So it's called I Am Not Okay. I am not okay. I'm expected to keep silence. Let me read that again. I am not okay. I'm expected to keep silent because I'm black. I'm not okay. I'm told to stay in my lane, or I am expected to be seen and not heard. I am not okay. People seem offended by my qualifications, and sometimes they expect too much or too little. I am not okay. I find it hard to receive or ask for help. I am not okay. It sometimes feels weird to hear or say, I love you. I am not okay. Sometimes I don't know what it means to relax. I feel guilty for taking a break. I'm not okay. I have the slavery mentality of the independent woman. It is my duty to take care of myself and my family. I am not okay. I cry in private or laugh through my pain. I am not okay. I'm uncomfortable with compliments. I laugh because I sometimes tend to think I am not good enough. So, encouragement is I will gradually remove my mask as I get more comfortable with saying I am not okay. To truly reveal who I am, I will believe in who God says I am. I can be confident in who God made me to be. So people start to heal the moment they feel heard. And that is why I write. I write because you're heard through writing. People read what you want to hear what you say. And I encourage person to, it might not be writing, it could be singing, it could be painting, it could be talking, motivational speaking, or whatever it is, you can express yourself through that avenue, to that
Oh,
outlet.
I absolutely love that. That I am not okay is powerful. Girl, you got me want to make a whole video to that. I absolutely love that. Like, it is amazing how you broke that down. And you could have said that like just in talking, but especially if you're reading what you just wrote there, I can kind of have my own interpretation or hear my own voice saying that, and I'm like, man, I am not okay, but it's so. But then you gave me the encouragement and told me how I can get okay. So
Hmm.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Well, that's going to be it for today's show. Thank you so much, my lovers and friends, for tuning in and listening to me and my VIP. Join me next week where I'll have another VIP. Join me on the same Hear My Heart channel at the same Hear My Heart time. Grace and peace, y'all. You ain't going to tell the people bye.
Bye, everyone.